Hey, welcome. This is Derrick Blue, and uh, I want to welcome you. Do me a favor. If you're watching this on social media, whatever platform, be sure to share it, like it, let somebody know that we are live. Every so often, I get to interview people who make tremendous change in our community. And the person that I'm introducing today has a passion for transforming communities and has a deep understanding of economic development. He's a powerhouse in his own right. He's the founder of D Starling Consulting, and he's dedicated his career to helping cities, communities, businesses, and organizations implement strategic solutions to drive sustainable growth. He's also a member of BizLINC right here in Lake Wales and has played a tremendous role in the renaissance that's happening right here in the Northwest community and in the city of Lake Wales. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you none other than Darrell Starling, CEO of D Starling Consulting.
How you doing? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good, man. So we're going to jump right into this, man. First of all, thank you.
No problem, man.
Thank you for coming, taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're doing a whole lot of stuff, not just here in the city of Lake Wales, but you're doing it all over the state of Florida. So let's jump into it, man. What inspired you to start consulting and specifically in community revitalization?
Well, and thank you for that, Pastor Blue, man. I'm just so gracious to be in your company, man, and be able to partner with you to help revitalize this area. What started me? So, I was first hired by the city of Lake Wales to be the CRA coordinator for the city, and my primary goal was to work toward was to work toward helping revitalize the Northwest neighborhood. This neighborhood had been neglected, done wrong for decades. So with my experience, I was tasked with bringing in more housing development, businesses, grants, infrastructure, stuff like that.
Yep.
That really helped me see the huge need that was not only in my community that I grew up, but other communities.
Mhm.
You know, so I grew up in West Tampa, and we had some of the same things that we struggled with and we dealt with, like the Northwest neighborhood. And I always thought, once I graduated high school and college, that I was going to pour back some time and resources and stuff like that to my own community. But life sometimes doesn't work out like that, where you stay in the area. So I just moved around a lot, but God blessed me with being a CRA coordinator for the city of Lake Wales. And when I saw that, man, this community looked just like West Tampa, some of the same needs and stuff like that. God just spoke to me, really.
Yeah.
He spoke to me and said, listen, you need to do this in other areas. I have you on an assignment. I have you on an anointed assignment. So just real quick, before I started work for the CRA in Lake Wales, I drove around the Northwest neighborhood and I prayed around the neighborhood that, God, just let your will be done. And I drove straight down Lincoln. And of course, I saw what you saw.
Yeah.
And a lot of people see when they drive down a business district like that is the possibility.
Yeah.
But God showed me that it's going to be revitalized. This neighborhood is going to be revitalized, but you're going to be attacked. But stay true to what I put before you, the plans.
It kind of reminds me of Book of Nehemiah.
Yeah, yes.
Seeing what it used to be, and what happened, and then what it could be. And with any type of development, like you said, there was some attack. So, which brings me into this point then. What are some of the challenges that you think that exist in, and I know that's a big question, man, but what let me say it like this. What are some of the challenges that exist? And specifically, what are some of the challenges that you yourself have faced in redeveloping and revitalizing communities?
Well, when you go into communities like that have been neglected for decades, you have a couple things going on. Sometimes you have cities that want to do good, governments that want to do good, but it's so much stuff that needs to happen, and they're hearing so many voices from so many different places that they don't even know where to start. Then sometimes you have the community that have lost trust in the city and other city departments and stuff like that. So when you go into a situation like this, you're literally coming in it alone, really, and you have to prove your worth. So some of the hurdles that you can deal with is, helping individuals see what God has shown you. And that's hard to sometimes frame that, when you're talking to individuals that have seen a landscape the same for decades. But like I said, being a person of your word, and showing, listen, this is a plan that I have going on for, the next year, 2 years, 3 years is great. But within the community, you do have naysayers. You do have people who they don't like change. You have people who don't trust you. And that's in every community, to be honest with you. But there can be some huge hurdles from those type of individuals. And, like I tell people who want to be community leaders and want to learn how the proper way to be a community leader is the impactful way, you have to push through. You have to push through. So some of those hurdles can come from city departments and stuff like that, just because when you're trying to revitalize these areas, it's, come on, all hands on deck. We got to go. But this city has been great, to be honest with you. But you can have some departments that, are a little slower than you want. But also you can have, some people that you're trying to help really throw wrenches in your plan.
So, and that's a true story, man. I think one of the things, one of the I've heard a quote that said, one of the best ways to avoid trouble and confrontation is to do nothing. just don't do anything. If you don't want any trouble, if you don't specifically anything impactful.
Exactly.
Because we understand that in areas like this, there are some barriers that have existed. And anytime you confront those barriers head on, you're going to face the type of turbulence.
Oh, yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about Lake Wales. We see there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yes.
There's a lot of development in the whole entire city, but specifically in the Northwest communities. And, we see the headlines of things that are going on. This grant, affordable housing popping up everywhere. But what are some things that you've been directly responsible for spearheading or playing an instrumental part of in this city? Because some folks may not know; they just may think it just happened. Talk about some things that you specifically been involved with.
Well, I can tell you that Lake Wales, the commissioners, they did a great job of creating the Lake Wales Connected Plan. It's like a 5-year strategic plan that incorporates revitalizing the Northwest neighborhood and downtown. Within that, because these strategic plans are only as good as the action and the funding attached to it.
Exactly.
So within that, just based on my experience, I created a model that the Lord showed me. It's called Reconstruct Now. It's based on a 3-year model. And it carries a lot of the book of Nehemiah and the book of Ezra. Coming back to the Jerusalem, coming back to the land of Israel and restoring it. Not only restoring, the wall and the city, but also restoring the temple. With Zerubbabel, who came before Ezra. So you have Zerubbabel, the first wave, then Ezra, the second wave, and then you have Nehemiah to cap it off. So this Reconstruct Now is based on those principles. So each area I go into, I do an assessment. I don't have to do surveys and survey, because communities like this, especially in the Black community, we've been surveyed to death. You can see, if you can't see with your own eyes the issues that are going in this community, then you don't have it right. You don't have the good lenses on. So I know that there was a lot of vacant lots. I know that the business district needed to be restored. there's infrastructure improvements that need to be put in place. So what I've been able to do with the partnership of city staff, city manager, and the commissioners is create the affordable housing program initiative. And within that, I have the developer incentive program. We incentivize developers to come in to the community to help build affordable housing. And if they do that, then we waive the impact fees, including water and sewage and county.
Yeah.
And within that, if you lived here for at least 10 years and you a developer building in this neighborhood, then we can give you up to $25,000.
So let me be clear. So what you're saying is that if a Lake Wells resident decided they want to get into development, of course, had the the capacity and all of that, they'll have a level of preference in order to develop. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Because what I've heard is there's a lot of outside entities coming in and building. So where is our opportunity? And that, I hit my heart, and I wanted to address that. So talking with James, our city manager, talking with this the CRA board, we came up with that incentive to help people who lived in the neighborhood, in the city for at least 10 years. Coupled with that developer incentive program, we have Helping Hands. Now, Helping Hands is a very, very unique program because it allows what we call small scale and sometimes low income landlords that live in the community that rent properties out. They're receiving residual income from those properties. But some of these landlords, they need work to their building. They need work to the homes and the units that they're renting out, but they don't have the money.
Right.
And some of the landlords, they have great hearts. They haven't even gone up in rent in years.
Wow.
So what we're able to do is give them free materials, construction materials, if they would just keep the rent, not increase the rent over 3 years. We give them as construction materials. We give them different household items like refrigerators. We give them ACs, ceiling fans, dishwashers, you name tile, paint. And then not only do we do that, but we can also give them up to $3,000 to help any facade needs that they may have. And this is just for landlords that live in the community, because we want to help them and we want to help the overall appearance. And I called it Helping Hands because my son was attending a daycare in Winter Haven, and sometimes, the daycare would write, Israel wasn't using his helping hands today. Yeah. So I allowed that to stick in my head. I'm like, man, that sounds like a good program. Wow. Coupled with that, I've been able to get some funding opportunities from South State Bank. They've given us about $100,000 for down payment assistance for some of our residents getting into homes in the neighborhood. I've been able to get the infrastructure improvement grant from CDBG CV. That was a $1.1 million grant that I know you saw some of the sidewalks that's going up on because we have lack of sidewalks here in the Northwest neighborhood. So I've been able to get that. And then other strategic partnership, BizLINC, which is huge. You guys coming in and really helping revitalize the business aspect of this community and really of this city. With all of the businesses that are getting support here. And I'm trying to think, I know there's more, but those are the main ones I've been able to do. And this one I'm working on with you. Yeah. It's called the Interest Rate Incentive Program, but spoiler alert. And that's going to help put money and support in the hands of minority business owners, really, that have an issue with access to capital.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it just sounds like you're just connecting the dots. When we talk about a recipe for revitalization, I mean, I heard you mention public-private partnerships.
Yes.
Working and collaborating with city government, but then also reaching out to the residents in the community. So there's a reason why there's a renaissance happening in this community. And I think that you're instrumental in doing that. And there's a ripple effect that's happening all over this community. So if you had any advice to give somebody who said, you know what, I want to make a difference. There's something that I want to do in this community, and I just need to know where to start. I love my community. How can I start? What would you tell them?
It's a great question, because, we all want to do something, right?
Yeah.
There's a community leadership workshop that I do with some of the students in FAMU. And it really goes over the different levels, areas of community leadership. So I would say do an assessment based on this leadership, kind of like area that I created. Yeah. So first is what you kind of referenced a little bit is a spectator.
Yeah.
So within community leadership, you can be a spectator, but you're also a community leader, because as a spectator, you're just here to observe. You're looking at the community. You're seeing things going on. Yeah, you see some trash over there. You see maybe a drug deal going over there. But you don't say anything, right? And people around you, your sphere of influence, understands that you don't say anything, so that they're led by you not saying anything. So someone who wants to be like, oh, I just mind my own business. You're a community leader. You are a community leader. Somebody's watching you. Wow. You are a community leader because you're doing nothing, and you're leading by doing nothing. Yeah. And the next one would be a complainer, right? And I maybe I need to come up with another word for it or phrase, but these are the individuals that complain about everything in their community. They go down to, City Hall, at the CRA board meetings, city commission meeting. They have great things that they're talking about and frustrated about, but they just stay there. They're just complaining, and that's all they do. So sometimes when you complain so much, people just hear it as noise, no matter what color, title, whatever they just hear that as noise. So you want to move from that. After complainer is a planner. So when you get sick and tired of being a complainer, you're like, okay, I want to do something about it. I'm gonna be a planner. So planners are just that. They plan things, right? But you ever met someone who that's all they do is plan? They don't know how to see it through. Yeah. So we want to push through from planning to now the fourth one is a doer. Yeah. That's where you want to be. You want to be a doer. And the doers are the ones who've taken being a spectator, being a complainer, being a planner. They put all that stuff and ball it up and say, listen, now I'm going to put all that stuff into my community, and I'm going to help the mayor. I'm going to help the city manager. I'm going to help my neighbor clean up her yard. I'm going to actually start an initiative where I'm feeding individuals like Miss Michelle 3 with the village. I'm going to help, get a grant. I'm going to look for grants to say, you can partner with the city. I'm going to bring these things to my community and do something about the trajectory of my neighborhood. Yeah. So if you evaluate where you are within those four areas, I think that's a great point to start. But just don't stay there. You want to keep on going, and keep on doing better things for your community.
Wow.
Right?
Absolutely, man. Thank you for that. And so we're getting ready to wrap this up, man. But two last questions. The first question is this: what's next? What's next for D Starling Consulting? Where you going? What you doing, man? What's next? And then the second one, as you conclude, is let our viewing audience know how they can contact you. There may be a county, there may be a city that's watching and paying attention. And like, man, I like that. I like that ideology. I like what he's saying. And how can they get in contact with you? So what's next?
What's next? Going into more communities like this. I feel like I've been called to help restore and reconstruct historically Black neighborhoods, low-income neighborhoods. And it's a spiritual. It's a spiritual issue. And I'm going in and helping bring in more housing, businesses and stuff like that. But I'm also coming with a word and the light of God. So just like the book of Ezra, you had that wave of, the Israelite coming back, and Nehemiah restoring the walls in the city. Ultimately, that's what I want to do in communities like that have been hit hard, not only from a infrastructure standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint as well. So right now, I'm working with Northport St. Joe or Port St. Joe. That's in the Panhandle, and they have a community called Northport St. Joe. It's a replica, really, of the Northwest neighborhood. They have a lot of things that needs that they need to have improved them, and they have a lot of vacant lots. They have some buildings and stuff like that need some improvement, but they're ready. They're eager, and they've been. I've been able to come into a contract with them to be their CRA director consultant, and my whole concept of Reconstruct Now, I'm literally picking that up and planting that down there. So there's going to be some really unique things that we'll be doing up there based on that principle. And then what was your second question?
Second question is somebody may be watching and they want to know how they can get in contact with you.
Mm-hmm.
How can they reach you? Was it email?
Yeah, email or telephone. My telephone, a telephone is 813-598-0072, or email D Starling Consulting at gmail.com. And like I say, I can work in any area in CRAs, but my niche is historically Black neighborhoods or low income neighborhoods because I have a model to help restore them.
Wow. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you, man, for being here. Please be sure to share this. Send it to somebody you know. If you live in Lake Wales, make sure you circulate this, because I think that it's extremely important for us to know what's happening or who's making it happen. And D Starling Consulting is making it happen. Until next time, this has been Derrick Lewis.